Hello there, friends. I want to talk about finding peace within all of the chaos that we are experiencing in our country and around the world, and also in our minds. So, the first thing I want to say is that the peace that we seek, if we are seeking peace to be more peaceful, is within us. And that is so important to understand and acknowledge that if you have ever, for a moment in your life, felt a sense of peace within, it's because that peacefulness is alive within you. I refer to that area of peacefulness as the soul. That's how I view our souls. It's the center of peace within us, it's the center of acceptance within us. It's that place within that exists beyond suffering, that exists beyond judgment, that exists beyond struggle, that place within us that simply bears witness to our experience, simply bears witness to the experience of the world around us. And I mean, it's never a bad time to foster a deeper connection to that place inside that is peaceful. And I can't imagine a better time than right now to do it. Right. So when we understand that we are actually holding within us a center of peace, that is just alive and ever present, the invitation is to foster a deeper connection to that place within. So if you feel like you're generally spinning out or anxious and fearful or insecure, all the other things that we tend to feel very regularly, the invitation is, how can I connect more deeply to that ever present place of peace within? And that is for you to explore. I gave a talk on Insight Timer yesterday about finding peace within the chaos, and I'm going to go through a list of the checkpoints that I wrote down for myself that help me stay centered. And then for you, take any of those that resonate, discard any that don't. But I can't encourage you enough to uh, get into the investigation of this for yourself. We all want to be more peaceful. We all, to some degree, I believe, are dealing with fears and anxieties and insecurities around. I'm coming from the US, but it's not just in the US, but certainly in the US, the political environment, it's so divisive. It can feel so overwhelming, particularly if you're tuning in through social media or news media. And it can be hard to believe that it's actually possible to show up within the context of everything going on and feel more grounded inside your soul and feel more connected to that sense of peace within you. So, a few things I wrote down first and foremost to really understand that you do not need to seek outside of yourself to find that peace. It is within you, it's your core, right? So much of this work we're doing is not about fixing, it's not about changing from the outside. It's about recognizing what is already within us, remembering who we really are, and deciding with a willingness and a commitment that we want to engage with that peacefulness of the soul, that ever present love of our hearts, that we understand these energies to be what feels most divine, what feels the best, and also happily what serves our world in the deepest, most profound way. Right? The energy of peace, the energy of love, these are deeply healing energies. And so we can trust that when we are aligning with those energies in our thoughts, in our words, in our actions as much as possible, anytime we are aligning, we are serving the world. We're serving ourselves, we're serving our loved ones, we're serving our cities, our nations, our world. That's the only possibility with peace and love, right? These are pure positive energies. So recognizing it is within you, what you're seeking, it's right here. So why not prioritize your relationship to yourself, to the love in your heart, to the peace in your soul? Why not prioritize that so that you can find yourself with willingness, with commitment, vibrating there more often? The other thing I wrote is get clear and intentional with your needs. I find that when we are clear about what we need to create more peace in our lives, we write those things down, what we believe we need. For me, that's time in nature. That's a lot of alone time. That's meaningful connections with people I love. These are all things that help me find more peace in my life. So write those things down. What do you feel you need? What tends to create more peace in your life? Meditation, maybe breath work, maybe yoga, maybe writing. And then you have a list in front of you that you can see. And when you're feeling out of sorts or you're feeling like you need to align more with peace, there's a checklist. Pick one of those things, give some energy to it, right? Serving our needs is always going to lead us to feeling more grounded, more peaceful, more okay, right? Always. I wrote regular check-ins with your body, with your spirit. When you are making choices and you can feel your shoulders hunching, you feel tension in your chest, that is really important information. That is your body telling you, this is not okay. This is not working for me. This is not in any way resonant with the peace that you have within. And we're so conditioned to only listen to our minds and our thoughts for information. But when you can get yourself out of your mind and check in with your body, check in with your spiritual, energetic being, how is that responding to the choices you're making? And as much as possible, if you find yourself like this, there's awareness there. Hey, is it possible for me? How can I, in this moment, make a different choice? How can I shift what I'm doing in this moment to create a bit more peace, a bit more expansion in my being? Check in. Our body's telling us stuff all the time. Curate media intake. I talk about this often. Look, there are a lot of us out there who want to be more engaged right now because we feel freaked out by what's happening politically in our country. If that's a choice you feel called to make, beautiful. How can you go about making that choice in a more peaceful way, in a more nourishing way? If you feel like you want to be connected on social media and you want to be taking in the news, and you find that when you are doing that, this is what's happening, that's the invitation there. The invitation in discomfort and invitation in discomfort can be, should you allow it to be, to consider how can I go about creating a bit more comfort within this uncomfortable experience, right? If you want to be engaged with the news or with social media and it's creating for you lots of anxiety and lots of fear, as it is for many of us, how can you go about it differently? And ask it that way. How can I go about this differently to create more peace? So you're inviting a positive response. You're inviting yourself to be curious and creative about possibilities that will have you feeling a bit more peaceful within your desire to be engaged with social media or with news media. There are many of us out there who don't want to be engaged with social media and news media, which is a perfectly legitimate choice. If that's what you're feeling called to do, are you peaceful with that choice? If not, how can you go about creating more peace around the choice to not be on social media right now if it's creating in any way anxiety for you? But I can't implore you enough to curate your media intake. Really check in with yourself, really check in with your body. How is it making you feel to be engaged the way you are being engaged? And what can you do to create more peace around it? Stop policing others. That's the next thing I have listed. We're all just judging and shaming and policing others about the ways in which we are showing up or aren't showing up, and deciding that if you're not showing up this way, there's something wrong with you. If you are showing up this way, okay, you're fine. Right? We have no control over how other people are choosing to show up now or ever, right? That is not within your control. If you make that within your control or try to make it within your control, you're going to create suffering for yourself. If you give a lot of energy to the policing of how other people are showing up within this unpredictable, wild, violent, insane, divisive time, you're going to create suffering for yourself. And you're also not contributing in any way that is of service, I think, to the end goal or an end goal of creating more love, more compassion here, more connection here, right? That's just a ticket to frustration and suffering. What we can do is we can model what we believe to be a healthy, compassionate, loving way to show up. That is what you have control over. That's what you have influence over, how you are showing up within the context of everything going on. So what if we just give a lot of energy to the example we are setting, knowing that that's where our power lives? So that doesn't mean you can't be anyone who's called to be a very vocal activist right now or whenever. Beautiful. Are you able to do that without losing connection to your heart where empathy and compassion and love resides? Are you able to do that without losing connection to your soul, which is where peace and acceptance reside, right? Yes, the answer is yes. We are able to do that by staying connected to our hearts and by staying connected to our souls if we choose to, if we are willing to, if we stay committed to. And we can trust that in our activism, in whatever it is we're choosing to do, that if we can do it with as much compassion and love as possible, not only for ourselves, but for our fellow human beings, that we are offering something beautiful. We are being of service in that way. We actually are leading by an example that we want to see in the world. Next, I put meaningful connections. For me, I mean, few things feel as rewarding as actually making time for the connections that feel uplifting, that feel joyful, that that with which I feel more relaxed and peaceful and seen in my body. And I'm someone who can be very introverted and I'm a master isolator, especially when I'm having a hard time. And yet, time and again, what I am shown is that when I take the time to reach out to people whom I love and whom love me, I always feel better for having done so. If you're in an area of the world, maybe you're really in a rural place and you don't have a lot of people in your life to meet, one-on-one out there in person, who can you call? And maybe right now you feel like there aren't many people in your life you can even call. What groups can you find online? Right? That's one of the beautiful aspects of technology is the access to like-minded folks, like-hearted folks. Um, I feel it's important to prioritize that now more than ever. It's incredibly easy to feel alone. It's incredibly easy to feel alone when we're stressed out, when we're afraid, if we're isolated. I mean, everything gets exacerbated in our isolation. So seek meaningful connections, prioritize meaningful connections, become intentional about creating them, fostering them, giving energy to them, and see how that makes you feel inside. Bring awareness to the breath. And I mean, literally, if you're spinning out, and you can remember in the moment, let me just focus on my breath right now. And all that can mean is you can close your eyes, not close your eyes, but just bring your awareness to your inhale and to your exhale. Just focus on your breath. By focusing on the breath, inhale and exhale, by giving it all of your focus, what you're doing is you're centering yourself in the present moment, right? You are directing your mind to focus on something that centers you in the present moment. And if you're able to do that, you're likely to feel that in this moment I am safe. Even with all the insanity out there, even with all my worries, even with all my concerns, in this moment, as I watch my inhale and I watch my exhale, I am okay. I am safe. I am present. And then if you want to create even more peace, extend your exhale by at least 2 beats. So if you inhale for 4 counts, exhale for 6 counts. When you extend your exhale like that, what you are communicating to your parasympathetic nervous system is that you are actually in a state of relaxation. And so that will help foster a state of relaxation. The breath is easily one of our most powerful tools. It's here, it's free. We can play with it in a host of different ways. Google relaxing breath techniques, and you will find any number of breathing techniques. Find the ones that help you feel more peaceful, that help you feel more grounded, right? Breath is one of the answers. Next, I wrote prioritize self-love. I always talk about this, but the prioritization, is that a word? The prioritization of self-love is a pathway to peace. The more loving you are in relationship with yourself, the more peace you automatically resonate with in your being. When we're not loving ourselves, we're going to war in some way with a part of who we are. Our minds are always going to war with aspects of who we are. So part of loving ourselves means recognizing that whenever your mind is telling you in any way that you are somehow unworthy or unlovable or that others are, it's a lie. It's a lie. You don't have to give energy to lies. It's not necessary. When your mind is lying to you, you can hear it, you can acknowledge it, you can nonchalantly dismiss it like, that's not true, and then get back to the work of loving yourself in some way, of acknowledging your worth in some way. And if you're unable to get out of that cycle of self-abuse, think about any other thing than yourself for the time being. If thinking about yourself is only creating suffering, think about your cat. Think about your nephews and nieces. Think about cute kids. Think about anything that redirects your thought process away from self-abuse to something that actually feels good or uplifting or joyful. Why not? And then get back to thoughts on yourself when you're not locked into the abuse of your mind, when you're able to distance yourself from those thoughts, when you're able to bear witness to your mind without being defined by it, becoming the sky and letting those thoughts be the weather systems. Then I wrote prioritize creativity and joy. Again, creativity is such a beautiful, abundant energy. Joy is such a beautiful, abundant energy, like love, like peace. Whenever we're playing with these energies, whenever we're prioritizing these energies, whenever we're choosing not just to wait around and hope that joy touches us at some point, but to actually consider what in your life tends to lead to joy for you. What things do you do? What habits, what practices, what hobbies do you do that tend to lead to joy? Prioritize them. Write those lists down too. And then when you're feeling like, I need a little more laughter, a little more joy, look at your list, pick one of those things and do it. Because the peace is within us, we are powerful beyond measure in our capacity to be peaceful, right? Because love is within us, we are powerful beyond measure in our capacity to be loving, right? If you've ever felt peaceful for a second, it's in you to be peaceful. If you've ever felt loving for a second, it's in you to be loving, not just toward others, obviously, but toward yourself as well. All of these things are within our power. They're all skills to develop. And as with every skill, the more practice, the better you become. So it takes intention. It takes a willingness, takes intention, it takes commitment. And why would we not be intentional and committed and willing to foster a deeper connection to that peace within? Knowing that we not only serve ourselves first and foremost, but the only possibility is that we will also serve our world. We'll also serve our loved ones. We'll also serve strangers when we're shopping in the store. We'll serve everything. That's what peace and love does. We know this. If you really believe that peace and love are the answer, then it's time that we start acting like it, right? No matter how other people are choosing to show up, we can choose to show up in alignment with these beautiful, powerful, healing energies that are so alive within us. All right. I think that's it for now. I just, if anything, the more insane the world becomes, the gift of that insanity for me is it's just nudging me further into my commitment to be an example of peace and love in this world, no matter what choices I'm making. How can I align them more deeply with the peace and love of my being? And I invite you all to consider that as well. This is how we create healing in our world. Lots of change gets created, but without love found as the foundation, it doesn't turn into a healing state of change. It ends up turning into more of the same with just different faces on it, right? So I love you. I believe in you. I believe in us. I am committed, and I hope you are too. Uh, Sending a deep prayer for all of us to connect more readily and deeply to the peace of our souls and to the love of our hearts, knowing that by doing so, we are always being of service to ourselves, our loved ones, and our world. And so it shall be. So much love to y'all. Mhm.